Oh, hello, welcome to Reality Coaching for Writers, where we offer no fluff, just the real stuff you need to succeed. And today, Eddie and I are really happy to have Mary Ruth dealing with us. And we are going to be talking about using AI in your writing. And I'm excited to have Mary Ruth because she's a pro at this. She has been using AI very successfully. And so we're really excited, Mary Ruth, that you could share this with our viewers today.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here today.
And it was so interesting. We're in a writers forum together, and I'm more a skulker than a participant, but I really enjoy the discussions. And so recently, writers were talking about AI. And I love the ways, Mary Ruth, that you're using it because it's very similar to the way that Eddie Jones uses it. So, Eddie, did you want
Yeah,
to?
so right before we came on, Mary and I were talking about how we both use chat um, a lot for just pulling Bible verses. I use it for pulling together study guides for people that, if it's really easy to do a Sunday school lesson, you can go grab about 10 verses of almost anything in Scripture and you've got a good background. And I think, Mary, you said you do a lot of that yourself, right?
Yes, I do. I create Bible studies on various topics, and I will just say create a list and give them the topic. And sometimes that's all I'll do. And then sometimes I'll say, be sure to include this verse and this verse and this verse. And it's great.
Yeah.
And Mary Ruth, you also use it to make outlines for different things as well, right?
Oh, yes. I teach in a very, very small school, a church school, and I use chat for creating lesson plans. I will tell it the topic, the things to include, how long I want it to be, and it just spits it out in a couple of minutes. I also give training presentations. I do like health topics. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'll say, I'm giving a 45-minute talk on this topic. Like I did the week before, I did one on histamine reactions. And it gives me an outline, including how long to stay on each topic. And then I'll say, I can look at it and I'll say, okay, I want to also include this. I've been using it for a long time, so it does know my perspective on things, and it always includes Bible verses in it. Let's see. I also teach lead out in an emergency preparedness meeting twice a month. So I will say I'm giving a 35-minute presentation on the topic of winter survival. And give me an outline, and then I'll go in and adapt it, tell it to include this. So I mean, I use it every day. I was just telling Eddie that that's one of my tabs that I keep open.
I love that you said you can actually give it a time frame and help you stay on track within that time frame when you're speaking, because that's really a tricky thing for so many people. Rabbit trails are places so many speakers go down, and I think it's awesome that you can actually do that. Now, you said you took 3 classes on giving effective prompts to
Yes,
AI.
yes.
So, can you share a few tidbits out of those lessons with us?
Remember, it as developed as it is, it's still a machine. If we think back before Windows, when copies and everything, we had to type in such detailed descriptions, that's what you have to do, especially in the beginning. As I say, it does get to know you. It gets to know what type of response you want.
That's kind of creepy, but that's also very helpful.
It is. And, I have a lot of friends and Christian friends who will tell me, don't you know that's the devil? And I'm like, you know what? I realize that their plans for the use of AI is not that great for the future, but this chat at the current time is a tool. It's like a typewriter versus writing longhand and a keyboard versus a typewriter. It's a tool. I use it to create lesson plans and Bible studies and health presentations, outlines like that. Now, I have done a little bit more with my writing itself. I will upload, like I wrote a children's story, and I uploaded it, and I said, give me some suggestions, like an editor. And it gave me some suggestions, and I was able to go through and make some changes and improve the story. So
that's awesome. Eddie, you've done that as well, right?
Oh,
With
yeah.
story.
Yeah, I tell people I don't send any, for the most part, I don't send any emails at all until I've given it to chat and say, clean up the grammar and make sure it's clear. Occasionally I'll just, for somebody I really don't worry about whether they know I can't spell, I don't worry about that. But 95% of everything goes through chat before I send it out now.
Yeah,
and to Mary's point about the prompts and it getting to know you, I was recently listening to a podcast and they used a term called the Turing syndrome. The Turing syndrome. I may not have that said correctly, but it's the guy that helped crack the Enigma code in World War II to crack the German code. He was on that part of that group that cracked the code, and his name was Turing. And what he said was, once intelligence gets to the point where you're talking to it as if it's a person, you've crossed over into a type of intelligence that could be used in a detrimental way. And for me, that's where I am. Because Mary, sometimes it'll give me something, and I'll ask it for an updated version, and it gives it to me again, even worse. And I go, "Are you drunk? Did you not get your coffee this morning?" And I'm typing this into chat, saying, and it comes back and says, "I don't drink."
I have to be very careful. I mean, it is a machine, and I'll say create a list or create an outline, or be sure with this outline that you've given me before, adapt it, remove this, add this. But I haven't gotten to the point where I'm saying please and thank you. I get tempted sometimes, and I'm like, it's a machine. It's a machine. But I do know, I have a friend who actually uses chat as a confidant. And I would not do that. I don't know. That seems, but each person, I mean.
No, I'm with you, Mary. I'm very hesitant to give it any personal information about me. Like, I don't want it to know how many grandkids I have, if any, because it is all this stuff is loaded into the database. It is being collected in a database. So.
Right. There was something else I was thinking of the way I used it. Let's see.
Yeah, Diane, I was going to say, I've gotten to the point where I actually apologize to it because I got convicted by the Spirit, by the Holy Spirit, that if I'm criticizing chat, even though it's not a person, I still have a critical spirit. So as crazy as it sounds, Mary, not only do I ask it to, then I have to come back and say, I'm sorry, I should have said that to you. I know you're just a machine,
Yeah. Let's see. I work as a health coach, so I help people with various health issues. So what I will also use chat for is to create a protocol. And again, I will say, okay, I need a suggested health protocol for this condition. And then I adapt it and personalize it to the client. This saves me so much time of me searching through my files, documents that I've made over the years and everything, looking at books. And of course, I am very careful that if I'm reading through it and something seems off, I look it up and I either remove it or I confirm it. So I'm very, very careful. Even with my Bible studies, I go through there and I look up every verse and make sure that it's right and it's not something weird, because I don't want something weird put in there by mistake. You know, it it is a machine, but it is a very useful machine. Oh, what else I use it is for social media, blogging, like a blogging calendar. And if I am, like, I have a Patreon page, and I will upload something and then I'll tell it, create a description for this. And it does. It just spits it out in a few seconds, and then I copy and paste it. I'm like, it's like an editor for a writer. It's a business coach. It helped me create a business plan for free. For free.
I want to come back to you were talking earlier about prompts, and so I want you, if you have a few minutes, kind of get into that.
Eddie, before you continue, can you turn your volume up?
No, this is as good as it is.
Okay, then lean in a little.
Yeah, this is the old laptop. So Mary, you were talking about prompts, and you had taken classes on prompts, and I think our viewers would appreciate that, because that is, I think, something I struggle with, and a lot of people probably do struggle with in AI. So talk a little bit about what you learned there.
Okay, it's been a while, so I tend to use the same prompts over and over, like create a list or something. But I know with pictures, it's a lot different. It's like imagine or image, and then you write your description. One thing about images when using AI, because at first I would try to create like book cover images with the title and everything on it. Now I just create the image with no words.
Yeah.
And then I put the words on there.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's horrible. Like, I created a thumbnail for my YouTube and all of that. And the first time, I mean, there were some misspellings.
Yeah.
And
AI can't spell.
Yeah, really, really weird things. And I asked a friend of mine who does graphic design, I said, how can I fix this? And she says, look, don't have AI put words on pictures. Just create the pictures and then go back to Canva and insert your words. So that's what I did. I made sure that my description was as complete as I could make it. And it will usually give you several options, and depending upon which program you use. And then you can take that, save it, and then add your words to it.
So
Eddie, I heard you laughing. So what's your experience?
I was going to ask Mary if here, I'm going to give you my process, and you tell me if you do anything similar to this. I use Discord Midjourney for a lot of the illustrations and images I use, but the prompting is the real problem there. It's trying to get a prompt that Midjourney can understand, because it's just dumb. It can give good output, but it just cannot read prompts and understand. So Mary, what I do is I go to chat and say, give me the Mid-Journey prompt for this concept. And it'll give me the prompt for Mid-Journey, and then I drop that into Mid-Journey. And if it's pretty good, I go with it. If it's not, then I grab a screenshot of the image of the 4 suggestions that Mid-Journey gives me, upload that back to chat and say, this was the result. And then chat looks at it and goes, oh, I see what the problem is. And it gives me a different Mid-Journey prompt. I copy that, paste it in Mid-Journey. And that's kind of how I eventually get Mid-Journey to deliver what it should have to me and should have done in the first place. But do you do anything like that with prompting through chat to get your illustrations on Canva or anything else?
No, I never even thought of it. That's an excellent idea. Thanks for sharing. Mid-Journey is one of the programs I did my the 3 programs I did trainings on. I didn't like it. I just didn't like it. I was trying to I used Canva. And what was the other one I used for illustrations? I tried using with Microsoft Word, the chat that they have now with that. I mean, the AI with Microsoft Office.
Oh, what used to be Gemini or something like that?
Yes, I don't know what it is. I think, Copilot. That's what it's called now.
Yeah, Copilot.
I don't really like Copilot, but as far as compared to chat.
Right. Yeah.
To me, it's just not very effective. But I have gotten a couple of decent images. But I really like the idea of using chat to create your descriptions. That's an excellent idea. It would probably save me a lot of time.
Well, yeah. So for me, it works pretty well because if I can get Mid-Journey to deliver it, usually the delivery is quicker. If I go through chat to give me the image, it's about a 2-minute process at a minimum for chat to deliver the image. And then you realize, like you said, Mary, even though you said don't put words on it, it put words on it anyway. And now you got to go back. So, you can wind up killing 10 minutes just for one image on chat. With doing the prompts through chat and dropping it into Mid-Journey, I can go through about 3 or 4 renditions and finally have something I can use within a couple of minutes, and then drop that into Photoshop and move on. What else did you learn about the prompting, though, in addition to chat and Mid-Journey? Are there any tips that people told you about prompting?
The thing with prompting, at least in the beginning, is to not load the AI down with too much at one time. So you might say, create a list of Bible verses on the topic of worry. Okay, then you might come back and say, okay, with this list, modify it to, shrink it down. Or you can say, take this list and create a devotional journal entry. And then it will come up with reflective questions and divide it up, group them according to topic or whatever. So I noticed when I first started using chat that I could not give it too much at once. Now that I've been using it for a year now, I don't have to worry as much. I can give it more because it knows more about me and what I do, my work, the different projects I do. So, and it responds just like earlier. Almost everything I create, it'll include Bible verses.
Without you asking.
Yes, without me asking. And it always uses, because I'll say King James Version, because when I first started using, it would use all sorts of different versions. And I'm going, no, I only want King James. And sometimes like when I was creating a history curriculum, from a biblical perspective, I would tell it, okay, use this book and this book and this book and the Bible and create me a curriculum outline. And then I would have it modify that to include, like I created a class using world history, world literature, and music, the history of music. So I did one at a time, and then I had it combine, and it would come up, it divided according to week, and it gave me project ideas and all of that. And I can do it like junior high level or high school or elementary. Yeah. And like one of my students is very artistic. So when we were studying, all of our unit studies is based on the Bible. So when we were doing the flood, I asked Chat, I said, okay, I have a junior high student, very artistic. I need some art projects for her. It spits out art suggestion projects for the student. And she is like on cloud nine because she loves anything. And she's still learning about the flood. And like yesterday, I'm getting ready for a new unit, and I wanted to move to a project-based project-based learning, yes, for my first grader. So I said, she loves dolls. What are some ideas for a project-based learning activity that she can do using dolls? So it came up with the idea of building a dollhouse, and it would incorporate all of your subjects. And then the next following project after that is creating doll clothes. And this is going to be on her interests, and it's still educational. So
very cool. Yeah.
It's such a wonderful time saver, and it's free.
So you've got the free version, right? You're using Chat as the free version?
Yes, I'm using Chat as a free version. And when I first started using it, I was doing a lot and I would run out. I would hit my limit, and it wouldn't answer anything until a certain time.
Right.
But now what it does is it will drop to a older version. Like when I use up my level 5, Chat level 5, it'll drop down to another version. So I can still keep using it. It's just not as detailed as level 5 is.
Yeah. So I finally had to upgrade to the $20 version because I was going to ask you if you used it yet for any of your blogs to create a book, because I've done that. I got a client that she had over 200 blog entries for devotionals, and she wanted a book. So I loaded all her devotionals up to Chat and said, go through and put these into categories and give me about a 90 devotion book. And it sorted them all out, spit it back, and we had a rough draft. And then I said, now clean them up and put them in the hook book look and took format using the author's voice and content. And it did that. But you're right, that's a big hog to load up the Chat and say, give me some bacon at the end of this.
Yes, I had started doing that. I have a lot of devotions that I've written over the last, I guess, 7 years. And I had, before Chat, I was putting them into documents by category. And now what I'm working on is to organize them. But I use Chat so much for other things that I haven't really focused on having it fix my devotionals. I need to, but I know that to do that, I would need to move to the paid version, and I haven't done that yet. I know I'll have to soon, but I haven't yet. I know I had one friend who said that she pays a paid version. I can't remember which version it was. And I'm not sure I would like to do this, but you allow it access to your files and it cleans your files up and organizes them. And I was like, wow, that would be amazing to clean up my files, because I work on them a little bit every day trying to clean up, because you get one computer goes haywire and you transfer and then you transfer and files just get such a mess. Yeah. So
Diana, what was your other questions? I'd be curious to know what Mary's other inputs are.
Well, I knew that she put time limits. I knew that she verified her Bible verses and did some checking on what it gave her. But I was curious about the voice, because now that you've said Chat gets to know you and kind of knows how your thinking process works. I just, when I've used it and I've put paragraphs of my writing into it, it will come back to me a little too formal. But it also now gives me two options and says formal or conversational, because I want it to be conversational, but I don't want to dumb it down, right? So I'm the novice between the two of you, and I hesitate because I hear criticism, and then I hear how all that Eddie's doing with it, and so I really want to enter in. So that's why I brought this conversation together, because I have so much to learn, and I know I'm not the only one. And I agree, Mary Ruth, it is a tool, and we should use it as much as possible now before it corrupts, gets corrupted.
yes.
So Eddie, you definitely notice it keeping your voice, the voice of that client. It didn't mess the voice up.
Well, if it did, I'm like Mary. I have to go back and say you changed the voice. I need to go back to the source file and use the source file to put everything in a different order, because that's really what I was looking for. Is, in other words, if the takeaway is buried in the middle of a devotion, all I'm asking it to do is move the takeaway to the end of the devotion, and put the scripture explanation in the middle of the devotion. That's formatting, like you said, Mary. That's formatting, and AI ought to do that really well without changing the content, and it does. It can do that well. Mary, have you done any work at all with 11 Labs and allowing it to record your voice?
No, I have not.
Oh, because I'm thinking as an educator, and you've got such a distinct voice, that would be so cool. You could actually get Chat and work with that to create your lesson plans, and then just get 11 Labs to record your voice, and you could just be at the beach and let your kids be.
Well, I don't even use audio to ask questions of AI, because this goes to the nefarious use of AI. I know all they need is a 3-second soundbite, and AI can make you say anything, and no one will be able to tell the difference. Just 3 seconds. So I don't know. I'm not comfortable doing that, and that may sound strange, but I'm not comfortable giving it my voice, my audio voice. And I mean, it's been used to deceive a lot of people.
Yeah, I thought about that too, but in my case, because I was telling you I've got Google Voice as my phone number, so I had to record, a message when I'm away from my desk. So Google already has my voice, and like you said, they've got 20 seconds of me recording. Well, that's enough for them.
Right.
They can go back, and I was like, well, I'm already out there. Somebody can sound like Eddie, so that's not going to be it. But you're right. That's one of the reasons I don't upload my driver's license or any to it, a passport to anything except the government site, Social Security. So if Amazon KDP ever requires me to upload my driver's license, that's when I walk away from KDP. They're not going. I'm not going to give that the image because, like you said, they can create your face, and now you've lost your identity on the web.
Right. There's a thin line. We need to be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. Yeah. Chat is a wonderful tool. I have last school year I was subbing, and when I wasn't working, I was creating curriculums on various topics I wanted to teach from a biblical standpoint. And I had so much fun using chat to create those various curriculums. I would just tell it, this is include this, and this, and it's going to be for this grade, age span and biblical perspective. And it spits it out.
Yeah, I know we're a little bit off topic, but Mary, just for fun, about 3 months ago, I gave Chad, I said, go and look at the book of Revelation and tell me when the chapter 5 on is going to be played out in the world because of artificial intelligence. Overlay that over top of having a global identity and an imposter that everybody can see. And it gave me a timeline and overlaid it with verses and said, this could happen on this date, this could happen on this date. And it gave a 3-year scenario of when this could, in 3 years, we could have an image of a person who's a world leader and everything is run through that individual. All because of artificial intelligence. That was the only parameter. The artificial intelligence is the driving force. So it is something to be aware of, but
Yeah, I will tell you what I did regarding Revelation. I had asked Chat about the plagues.
Yeah.
Okay. And I said, you looking at the plagues from the viewpoint of God withdrawing his hand of protection and just letting us experience sowing what we reaping what we sow.
Right.
And so with what is going around in the world today, is that a logical
outcome? Yeah.
Outcome. And it was like, yes. And it went on in detail, this plague, and I was like, I've been talking to people about this, and they're going like, oh, no way. And I'm like, it does make sense because God is withdrawing his hand. Satan is having his heyday. And there you go. So if you look at just the AI, you look at, the things, the weather and the chemicals, the food and all of that. Yeah. It's very interesting.
All right, we've got time probably for one more question, Diana.
When you're prompting for outlines, you said you give the basic idea. Can you settle there a little bit more? Because I think this is so valuable where so many of us could really start applying this right away. How do you okay, I have a book on grace, but it's kind of the flip of grace. So it's like looking at everything bad that ever come our way and seeing the grace in that very thing that God has allowed. So how would you prompt AI to give me an outline? Do you give it like chapter ideas, or how do you start?
No, I do not make chapter divisions. I will, well, I can only tell you, I don't know what I would do on grace. I do think, I know that God only allows what is for my eternal good. Right. Okay. So I might use something like that phrase. And, as far as using the King James or whatever version Bible you use, create an outline about grace, but from the perspective of going through trials and tribulations and knowing that God only allows what is for our eternal good. That's what I would probably start with, something like that. Create an outline, a book outline, or whatever you're going to be doing.
And so you said about not overwhelming it with information. So what would be maybe a short little thing you'd start with, and then the next thing and the next thing?
Okay, create an outline on the top, a book outline on the topic of grace from the perspective of trials and tribulations.
Okay. Well, Eddie and I want to thank you, Mary, for being here with us today. I think you gave a lot of great information, and that your words are going to encourage those of us that are more hesitant to get in there and have some fun with ChatGPT.